Let's switch gears to this problem in Afghanistan and the Taliban. Diggers rescue lucky few. That's the splash head on the front of the Australian. And of course, a story here by Ben Packham and Amanda Hodge, who of course does a tremendous job in that part of the world. Taliban fighters have shot and beaten Afghan asylum seekers trying to reach Kabul airport, threatening Australian plans to rescue up to 800 people and forcing the first RAF flight to leave with just 26 passengers aboard that flight, with more than 100 empty seats left on Wednesday morning. And according to Scott Morrison, will be the first of many. The Prime Minister said subsequent flights would take more passengers, with officials now on the ground and able to begin the process of asylum seekers. I also draw your attention, Caleb, to a comment piece from Greg Sheridan, and I think we can answer the front page of the Australian in two tranches here. He says, "Jihadists rejoice as Biden delivers blow to US standing." The territorial reconquest of Afghanistan by the Taliban, the defeat and expulsion of the Great Satan, and the collapse of its local allies will be a tremendous boost for global jihadism. Your thoughts?
Well, that's quite right. I mean, Biden has been so weak on this, and he's getting up this week quite proudly saying, you know, this was never about creating a new model. It was never about saving them, rah, rah, rah. We're pulling out, and that's the end of it. Biden has to realise and has to admit that it's all good and well to say, well, we shouldn't interfere in other countries' political systems, and that is a legitimate argument to be made. The only problem is that Afghanistan has already been interfered with. And the biggest risk when you pull out of any country, when you've gone in and waged war and overturned or removed a system of government or an insurgent or whatever you want to call it, you create a vacuum. If you leave without replacing it and replacing it in a proper fashion, you create a vacuum. And that is exactly what has happened here. And the Taliban has come straight back in and taken it all back. 20 years in Afghanistan, and for what? And Greg Sheridan is quite right. Afghanistan will now again become a breeding ground for Islamist terrorists. And this is an issue that was quite prominent 5-10 years ago, but something that has largely dropped off the radar. We fought very well against ISIS. We fought off that threat. And here comes another threat in the Taliban. And the only reason they are coming back is because the US has pulled out of Afghanistan and will not admit that it got it wrong. This will define Biden's presidency, because this is not the end of it. We see all the pictures on the television of people trying to flee Afghanistan. We should have been getting them out of there much sooner than this, it should be said. And that is going to be a pockmark on this federal government and many other governments across the West. But this could very well define Biden's presidency.